My family forgot to include me in the reunion trip to Cancun, and I discovered the truth when I stopped by my parents' house to drop off a birthday gift and found the printed itinerary on the kitchen counter with everyone's name except mine. My sister walked in, saw me holding the paper, and said, "Oh, we figured you'd be too busy with work," even though I had specifically requested that week off 2 months ago. I'm Rebecca Sterling, 28 years old, and I've spent my entire life being the family's afterthought. Standing in my parents' kitchen that Tuesday afternoon, holding that glossy travel itinerary with its cheerful palm tree graphics, I felt something cold and sharp settle in my chest. Not surprise. Definitely not shock. What I felt was the final click of clarity you get when you realize you've been playing a rigged game your whole life. The paper was still warm from the printer. 7 names listed under travelers. Mom, Dad, my older sister Amanda, her husband Kyle, my younger brother Jason, his girlfriend Tiffany, and even Amanda's 2 kids. Every single person in our family except me. The resort looked beautiful in the photos stapled to the booking confirmation. Adults-only infinity pools, private beach access, all-inclusive dining. They'd even upgraded to ocean view suites. Amanda stood in the doorway with grocery bags still in her hands, caught like a deer in headlights. Then her expression shifted to that familiar, condescending smile she'd perfected over the years. The one that made you feel like you were overreacting to something perfectly reasonable. "We didn't think you'd be able to get away from work," she said, setting down the bags and pulling off her sunglasses. "You're always so busy with that marketing job." I looked at her calmly, though my hands wanted to shake. "I requested August 14th through 21st off 2 months ago. I told everyone at Easter dinner. I even mentioned it again at Jason's graduation party." She waved her hand dismissively. "Well, nobody remembered that. Besides, you know how family trips are. Someone always has to coordinate everything. It's exhausting. I've been planning this for 6 months." 6 months. They'd been planning this family reunion for half a year and never once mentioned it to me. I'd seen them all multiple times. Birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, random Sunday dinners. Not one word. "The deposit was non-refundable," Amanda continued, moving past me to put away groceries. "And the resort requires final guest lists 30 days in advance. It's too late to add anyone now anyway." I carefully set the itinerary back on the counter, right next to the birthday card I'd brought for Dad. His 65th birthday gift, an expensive leather wallet I'd spent weeks choosing. "When exactly were you planning to tell me about this?" "We figured you'd find out eventually," she shrugged, pulling milk from a bag. "Look, Rebecca, don't make this into some big dramatic thing. It's just a vacation. We'll do something together another time. Just a vacation. A full week in Cancun with the entire family except me." I noticed the dates again. August 14th through 21st. That was the same week I'd specifically requested off after my company announced summer vacation schedules. I'd told everyone. I'd been excited about having that time free. The front door opened and my mother walked in, arms full of shopping bags from Home Goods. Her face went pale when she saw me holding the itinerary. "Rebecca, what are you doing here?" "I brought Dad's birthday present." I gestured to the card on the counter. I didn't realize I'd also be discovering the family vacation I'm not invited to. Mom set down her bags with elaborate care. "Buying time. Sweetheart, it's not like that. We just thought, well, you're so independent now. Your own apartment, your career. We didn't think you'd want to spend a whole week with your boring old family." It was masterful, really, making my exclusion sound like respect for my independence. I'd heard variations of this my entire life. When they'd go to Amanda's school plays but not mine because you never seemed to care about theater anyway. When they'd attend all of Jason's baseball games but miss my college graduation because you're so self-sufficient you don't need us there. "The resort is adults only," Amanda added, putting away cereal boxes. "We thought it would be weird for you since you're single. Everyone else is coupled up. You'd probably feel like a third wheel the whole time." There it was. The real reason, wrapped in fake concern. I was single. I was the odd one out, the one who didn't fit into their neat picture of family units. I looked at both of them, these women who'd known me my entire life and managed to understand nothing about me. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. Amanda was already moving on, checking her phone like this conversation was merely an inconvenient interruption to her day. "When were you going to tell me?" I asked again, keeping my voice level. "Probably this weekend at dinner," Mom admitted. "We were going to frame it as an opportunity for you to house-sit for us. You know, water the plants, check the mail." We thought you might even enjoy having Mom and Dad's house to yourself for a week. They were going to make me house sit while they all vacationed in Mexico. The audacity was almost impressive. I picked up my purse, leaving Dad's birthday present on the counter. Well, I'm glad I found out now. Don't be like this, Amanda said, annoyance creeping into her voice. You're going to make everyone feel guilty for no reason. We're family. We love you. This isn't personal. Everything about it was personal. Every single detail of that itinerary was a calculated message about my place in this family. Nowhere. I walked to the door, then paused. Have a great time in Cancun. I hope you all enjoy yourselves. We will, Amanda called after me, completely missing the ice in my voice. And we'll bring you back some tequila or something. I drove home in a fog of rage so cold it felt like calm. But underneath that calm was a growing certainty. I was done being the family afterthought, done making excuses for their behavior, done pretending this was normal or acceptable or anything other than exactly what it was. Deliberate exclusion from the people who were supposed to love me most. They thought I'd roll over and accept this like I'd accepted everything else. That I'd house sit and smile and wave them off to their perfect family vacation. They thought I was too nice, too agreeable, too desperate for their approval to do anything but swallow this latest humiliation. They had no idea what I was actually capable of when someone pushed me too far. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex, I'd already made 3 important phone calls. My calm smile would have terrified them if they'd been there to see it. They wanted to leave me behind? Perfect. They were about to learn that sometimes the person you underestimate is the one you should have feared most. The first call I made was to my Aunt Linda, my father's sister who'd moved to Arizona 10 years ago. We'd always been close, but geography had created distance. She answered on the 3rd ring, surprised to hear from me midweek. Rebecca, what a nice surprise. Is everything okay? I explained the situation calmly, clinically, like I was presenting a case study. There was a long silence when I finished. They did what? Her voice went deadly quiet. Your mother didn't invite you to a family reunion vacation? Apparently I'm too independent and busy to want to spend time with my boring family. I kept my tone light, but Linda knew me too well. That's the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard. I could hear her moving around, probably to somewhere more private. Rebecca, I need to tell you something. Your mother did the exact same thing to me for years. Always had an excuse why I wasn't included. Too far away, too different, too career-focused. It was never about logistics. It was about control. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. What do you mean? Your mother needs to be the center of attention. She's built this perfect little family unit with Amanda as her golden child and Jason as her baby boy. You've always been too independent, too unwilling to play the role she assigned you. So she punishes you by pushing you to the margins, then acts like it's your choice. The clarity of this assessment hit me like cold water. I never thought about it that way, because you're a good person who assumes the best in people. But I've watched this pattern for 30 years. Linda paused. Listen, I have something that might interest you. I'm organizing a Sterling family reunion here in Sedona for the same week they're going to Cancun, your grandfather's side of the family. I was going to invite your parents, but after hearing this, maybe I should be more selective about who gets an invitation. My mind started racing. Who's coming? About 40 people so far, all your dad's siblings and their families, your second cousins, even some relatives from back east. It's our first big gathering since Grandpa Sterling passed. I've rented out an entire resort. She laughed softly. Funny thing is, I was about to call your parents to invite them, but I think they've made their choice about which family matters to them. The second call was to my boss, Jennifer, who I'd worked with for 5 years. She was more than a supervisor. She'd become a genuine mentor and friend. Rebecca, what's wrong? You sound off. I explained the situation, including how I'd specifically requested that week off months ago. Jennifer listened without interrupting, which was one of her best qualities. So they're all going to Cancun that week. She repeated slowly, the week you requested off. Yes, and they expect you to house sit, apparently. Do you want to know what I think? Jennifer didn't wait for my answer. I think you should take that week off anyway. In fact, I think you should take 2 weeks. You've got the vacation time saved up. You never take time off, and that project you've been leading just wrapped up successfully, ahead of schedule and under budget. My throat tightened unexpectedly. Thank you. Don't thank me. You've earned it. And Rebecca, whatever you're planning, I have a feeling your family is about to regret underestimating you. The third call was to my best friend Marcus, who'd been my roommate in college and remained one of my closest confidants. He was a social media manager for a major lifestyle brand, brilliant at crafting narratives and understanding online dynamics. "They did not," he breathed when I told him. "Rebecca, that's evil. That's genuinely cruel. I need your help with something. Anything. Name it. I need to document everything. Time-stamped communications, witnesses to conversations, a clear record of their pattern of exclusion. Can you help me organize it?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "You're building a case." "I'm protecting myself, and I'm making sure that when this comes out, and it will come out, the truth is clear. I'm coming over tonight. Bring wine and we'll strategize." By the time I got home, my phone had 3 texts from Amanda. The first said, "Mom is upset. You made her cry." The second said, "Why do you always have to be so dramatic?" The third said, "We'll add you to next year's trip, okay? Stop being difficult." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and started going through my email, texts, and calendar. Every mention of the August vacation dates. Every time I'd told family members I'd requested that week off. Every conversation about wanting to spend more time together. The evidence was damning. I'd mentioned the dates at Easter dinner. I had the group text to prove it. I'd brought it up at Jason's graduation party, confirmed by a photo someone posted where I'm clearly visible in the background talking to my parents. I'd even sent Mom a text in June asking if we had any family plans that week because I wanted to make sure I was available. Her response, "Nothing planned, sweetie. Enjoy your free time." That text had been sent 3 months into Amanda's supposed 6-month planning process. Marcus arrived at 7 with Thai food and a bottle of good red wine. We spread everything out on my dining table, creating a timeline of exclusion that went back years. "This isn't just about the Cancun trip," Marcus said, studying the pattern. "This is systemic. Look, the pattern's clear. You get left out, they make it seem like your choice, then they gaslight you when you call it out." He pulled up some family photos from social media. "Look at this. Amanda's birthday last year, big family dinner. You weren't there." "I wasn't invited." "Exactly, but look at the comments. Your mom commented, 'Wish the whole family could be here.' Like you chose not to come." She's creating a narrative where you're the one who's distant. I stared at the screen, seeing the pattern now that Marcus had highlighted it. Every family event I'd missed because I wasn't invited was reframed on social media as my choice. My mother was a master at this, making me look like the problem child who didn't value family. "What do you want to do about this?" Marcus asked carefully. I took a long sip of wine. "I want the truth to come out, but I want it to come out in a way that they can't twist or explain away. You want to control the narrative. I want people to see what's really happening." Marcus grinned. "Then we need to be smart about this. Strategic. We document everything, we tell your story accurately, and we make sure the evidence speaks for itself." Over the next 3 hours, we built a comprehensive record. Screenshots, emails, texts, even video evidence from family gatherings where I'd mentioned my vacation plans. We organized it chronologically, showing a clear pattern of my attempts to be included and their consistent exclusion of me. "What about Aunt Linda's reunion?" Marcus asked. "That's happening the same week. She's specifically inviting Dad's side of the family, the people my mom has always kept at arm's length." "Oh, this is perfect." Marcus was typing rapidly. "So while they're in Cancun with your mom's carefully curated perfect family, you'll be in Sedona with the Sterling family reunion they weren't invited to. Linda was going to invite them, but after hearing about Cancun, she's reconsidering. Poetic justice." Marcus sat back. "Your mom excludes you, so she gets excluded from the family reunion on your dad's side." I love it. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Hey, sis, heard about the Cancun thing. Kind of messed up they didn't tell you. Sorry." I showed Marcus. He rolled his eyes. "He's sorry, but he's still going." "Of course he is." I typed back a simple response. "Thanks for the support. Enjoy the trip." Another text came in, this time from my father. "Rebecca, can we talk? Your mother is very upset." "Notice how it's always about her feelings," Marcus pointed out. "Never about what they did to you." I responded, "I'm not available to talk tonight. We can discuss this later if needed. Dad, this is family. We need to work this out. Me. You're right, it is family. That's why it hurts that the whole family is going to Cancun except me. Dad, you're being unfair. We made an honest mistake. Me. An honest mistake that took 6 months of planning and multiple conversations where I explicitly told you I had that week off. He didn't respond after that. He knows you're right, Marcus observed. That's why he stopped arguing. The next morning, I called Aunt Linda back. I'd love to come to the Sedona reunion. Count me in. Excellent. I'm so glad. Listen, I've been thinking about your parents. I was going to invite them, but honestly, after what they did to you, I don't think they deserve an invitation. Your dad has always let your mother control family dynamics, and it's gotten worse over the years. It's your reunion, Linda. Invite whoever you want. That's the thing, it's not just my reunion. It's a Sterling family reunion. Your grandfather's children and grandchildren. Your mother isn't a Sterling, and frankly, I'm tired of watching her manipulate family connections. Linda's voice was firm. Your father can come if he wants, but I'm going to be very clear about why your mother isn't welcome. That seems harsh. Is it? She excluded you from a family vacation after decades of pushing you to the margins. She systematically isolated your father from his own family because she doesn't like not being the center of attention. I'm done enabling that behavior. After we hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. Someone else saw it. Someone else understood that this wasn't me being difficult or dramatic or oversensitive. I spent the day working, burying myself in a new project proposal that had been on my back burner. My phone buzzed periodically with family drama. Amanda sent several long texts explaining how I was ruining Mom's happiness. Jason sent a meme that was supposed to be funny, but just reinforced that he wasn't taking this seriously. Dad sent one more text. Can we please just move past this? I didn't respond to any of them. That evening, Linda called back. I sent your father an email about the Sedona reunion. I was very clear that spouses weren't automatically included this time, that this was specifically for blood relatives of William Sterling. Your father is welcome. Your mother is not. How did he respond? He hasn't yet. But I copied about 15 other family members on the email, so even if he tries to ignore it, others will ask him about it. Linda, you didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Your mother has controlled access to your father's family for too long. It's time the Sterlings reclaimed their own relationships. She paused. Besides, everyone's excited to see you. Your cousins have been asking about you for years. Your mom always made excuses for why you couldn't come to family events. That night, I lay awake thinking about all the family gatherings I'd missed over the years. Not because I didn't want to go, but because I was never invited or was told at the last minute that plans had changed. How many relationships had I lost because my mother controlled the narrative? My phone buzzed at 11 p.m. A text from Mom. I don't appreciate Linda trying to exclude me from family events. This is exactly the kind of divisiveness that tears families apart. The irony was staggering. The week after discovering the Cancun itinerary felt like watching dominoes fall in slow motion. I went to work, maintained my routine, and watched as my carefully laid groundwork began to take effect without me having to do anything at all. Linda's email about the Sedona reunion spread through the Sterling family like wildfire. My phone started getting calls and texts from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. My cousin Rachel called first. Rebecca, oh my God, we haven't talked since your college graduation. Linda said you're coming to Sedona? I am. I'm looking forward to it. I can't believe we've barely seen you all these years. Your mom always said you were too busy with work, or you'd moved away, or you weren't interested in family stuff. Rachel paused. But Linda's email made it sound like that wasn't really true. It wasn't. I've been living in the same city as my parents this whole time, 20 minutes away. What? Rachel's voice went sharp. Your mom told my mom you'd moved to Boston for work. That's why you couldn't come to Grandpa Sterling's funeral. My stomach dropped. I never moved to Boston. I was here. I didn't know about Grandpa's funeral until 3 days after it happened. The silence on the other end was heavy. Rebecca, your mom told everyone you were too busy to come. that you'd sent your condolences but couldn't get away from work. I would have been there in a heartbeat. I loved Grandpa. Jesus, Rachel breathed out slowly. How long has this been going on? As long as I can remember, I think. I just didn't realize the extent of it until now. We talked for another hour. Rachel filled me in on years of family news I'd never heard. Weddings, babies, job changes, achievements, an entire family tree of life events I'd been systematically cut off from. We all thought you didn't care about us, Rachel admitted. Your mom was always so apologetic about it, saying you'd gotten too sophisticated for family gatherings, that you were focused on your career. She made it sound like your choice. It was never my choice. By the end of the call, Rachel had added me to 3 family group chats I didn't know existed. Immediately, messages started flowing. Cousins reaching out, sharing photos, asking questions. The overwhelming warmth of it was almost painful. My second cousin Michael sent a message directly. Your mom always made you sound like a stuck-up career woman who was too good for the rest of us. I'm really sorry we believed that without questioning it. At work, Jennifer called me into her office. I've been thinking about our conversation. That project you wrapped up? It's getting attention from corporate. They want you to present at the national conference in September. Really? Really? You've done exceptional work, Rebecca. I think it's time we talk about your career trajectory here. How would you feel about a senior manager position? I stared at her. Are you serious? Completely. You've been ready for this for a while, but you never push for it. You let others take credit. You stay in the background. It's time to change that. She smiled. Consider this my recommendation that you start advocating for yourself more aggressively. That evening, my father finally called instead of texting. Rebecca, we need to talk about this situation. Which situation, Dad? The Cancun trip I wasn't invited to, or the Sedona reunion Mom isn't invited to? He sighed heavily. Both, I suppose. Your mother is devastated about Linda's email. She feels like she's being attacked. How do you think I felt finding that itinerary? It was a miscommunication, honey. Nobody meant to hurt you. Dad, Amanda admitted they'd been planning it for 6 months. I told everyone at Easter that I had that week off. I mentioned it multiple times. This wasn't a miscommunication. Silence. Then, your mother thought you wouldn't want to come. Based on what? Did she ask me? More silence. Did you know, I continued, voice steady, that the Sterling family thinks I moved to Boston? That I was too busy to come to Grandpa's funeral? What are you talking about? Mom told them I'd moved away for work. That's why I wasn't at the funeral. Except I never moved, Dad. I live 20 minutes from you. I didn't know about the funeral until it was over. I heard him breathing on the other end, processing this. Rachel called me today. So did Michael. And Aunt Diane. They all thought I'd abandoned the family because that's what Mom told them. My voice cracked slightly. How many other things has she lied about? How many family events have I missed because she simply didn't tell me about them? Rebecca, that's not fair. Your mother would never, wouldn't she? Dad, look at the pattern. Really look at it. When's the last time I was invited to a Sterling family event? When's the last time you visited Linda without Mom making excuses why you couldn't go? The silence stretched out so long I thought he might have hung up. I need to think about this, he finally said. You do that. I'll be in Sedona the week of August 14th, spending time with family who actually want me there. After he hung up, I felt emotionally wrung out. But there was also something liberating about finally saying these things out loud, about refusing to pretend everything was fine. Marcus came over with dinner again, this time bringing his girlfriend Sarah, who I'd met a few times and liked immediately. Sarah works in family therapy, Marcus explained. I thought she might have some insight. Over pizza, I explained the whole situation to Sarah. She listened carefully, asking clarifying questions but not interrupting. What you're describing is a classic pattern of triangulation and scapegoating, Sarah said finally. Your mother has positioned you as the problem child, the difficult one, the one who's too independent and doesn't value family. This serves multiple purposes for her. It makes her look like the patient, long-suffering mother. It allows her to control your father's relationships with his family, and it gives her a target for family dysfunction that isn't her. So this is deliberate? Not necessarily conscious, but yes. It's a pattern of behavior that serves her psychological needs. People like this often feel threatened by family members who are independent or successful in ways they can't control. You're competent, self-sufficient, and don't need her validation. That's terrifying to someone who derives their sense of worth from being needed. What happens when the pattern is exposed? Sarah leaned back. Usually two things. Either the person has a moment of self-awareness and changes their behavior, or they double down and paint themselves as the victim of a conspiracy. Based on what you've described, your mother is likely to choose option 2. So this is going to get worse before it gets better? Probably. But Rebecca, here's the thing. You don't have to participate in the dysfunction anymore. You can set boundaries, you can build relationships with family members directly, and you can refuse to be the scapegoat. It will be uncomfortable, but it's also necessary for your own well-being. That night, I made a decision. I booked my flights to Sedona. I arranged for a rental car. I bought a new dress for the family reunion dinner. I was going to walk into that event with my head held high, ready to reconnect with family I'd been cut off from. But I also did something else. I started a private blog, password protected, documenting everything. Not to publish, not to share publicly, but to have a clear record of events as they unfolded. Sarah had suggested it as a therapeutic tool, but I also knew it might be necessary evidence if things escalated. The entries were factual, clinical even. Dates, times, conversations, screenshots. A timeline of exclusion that painted a damning picture when viewed as a whole. 3 days before my family was supposed to leave for Cancun, Amanda showed up at my apartment unannounced. I saw her through the peephole and almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me into my living room. "Hello to you too." She spun around, arms crossed. "What are you trying to do, Rebecca? Destroy our family?" "I'm not doing anything to the family." "Really? Because Mom is a wreck. Dad is questioning everything. And now Linda is hosting this reunion that specifically excludes Mom. And it's all because you couldn't just accept a simple mistake." "A simple mistake," I repeated flatly. 6 months of planning, a trip that happens to be the exact week I told everyone I had off, and leaving me to house sit while you all vacation in Mexico. That's a simple mistake? You're blowing this out of proportion. Am I? Because Rachel told me you all thought I'd move to Boston, that I was too busy for Grandpa's funeral. Mom has been lying to Dad's family about me for years, Amanda, systematically cutting me off from them. That's not true. Mom would never do that. Then why did Rachel think I'd moved? Why did everyone believe I chose not to attend family events when I was never invited to them in the first place? Amanda's face flickered with something, doubt maybe, before hardening again. You've always been jealous of me, of my relationship with Mom. You can't stand that I'm the successful one, that I have the perfect family. Your perfect family. Amanda, your husband has a gambling problem that you're hiding from everyone. Your oldest son got suspended from school last month for bullying. Your life isn't perfect. You just work really hard to pretend it is. Her face went white. How do you know about Kyle's gambling? I know a lot of things. I just never said anything because I thought that's what good sisters do. Keep confidences. But apparently I was wrong about what family means. You have no right to judge my life. I'm not judging. I'm just pointing out that your perfect image is exactly that. An image. And maybe that's why Mom likes you better. You're willing to maintain the facade. I never was. Amanda grabbed her purse. You're going to regret this. Probably, but I'll regret it on my own terms, not on yours. After she left, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my balcony, watching the sunset. My phone was blowing up with family drama. Mom's friends texting me about how I was destroying a wonderful woman. Extended family members asking what was going on. Jason sending confused messages about why everyone was fighting. I turned off my phone and sat in the quiet, feeling something shift inside me. This was it. The moment where I either backed down and fell back into the old patterns, or I stood firm and accepted whatever consequences came. I thought about years of Christmas mornings where my gifts were clearly afterthoughts, birthdays forgotten or celebrated weeks late when they remembered. Achievements that warranted a brief, "That's nice," while Amanda's smallest accomplishments were celebrated with elaborate dinners. I thought about feeling invisible in my own family, about wondering what I'd done wrong, about trying so hard to be good enough to deserve their attention. And I realized I was done. Not angry done, not bitter done. Just finished done. Done performing for an audience that would never applaud. Done seeking approval from people who would never give it. Done pretending this was normal. The Arizona sun would be warm in August. The Sterling family reunion would be filled with people I barely knew, but who seemed genuinely excited to know me. And my immediate family would be in Cancun, probably not thinking about me at all. For the first time in my life, that thought didn't hurt. It felt like freedom. The Thursday before the Cancun trip, my mother finally called. Not to apologize, but to demand I return Dad's birthday present because it's weird to keep it after causing all this trouble. I can drop it off this evening, I said calmly. Good. Your father and I will be home around 6. We need to discuss your behavior. I arrived at exactly 6:15, deliberately late enough to make them wait, but early enough to seem reasonable. Dad answered the door, looking exhausted. Rebecca. He stepped aside to let me in. Mom was in the living room, perched on her chair like a queen holding court. Amanda sat on the sofa, clearly summoned for moral support. Jason was conspicuously absent, probably told to stay away from the drama. I placed the wrapped gift on the coffee table. As requested. Sit down, Mom commanded. We need to address this situation you've created. I haven't created any situation. I discovered I was excluded from a family vacation and reacted accordingly. You're being deliberately divisive, Amanda interjected, turning Dad's family against Mom. I haven't turned anyone against anyone. I simply accepted Linda's invitation to a family reunion. Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. Linda had no right to exclude me from a Sterling family event. I've been a Sterling for 37 years. Actually, I said quietly, you've been married to a Sterling for 37 years. There's a difference. And Linda was very clear this reunion is specifically for blood relatives of William Sterling. That's discriminatory. It's her event. She can invite whoever she wants. I met Mom's eyes steadily. Kind of like how you can plan a vacation and invite whoever you want. Freedom works both ways. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Rebecca, your mother feels attacked, and I felt abandoned when I found out my entire family was going to Mexico without me. But somehow my feelings don't seem to matter as much. That's not fair, Mom snapped. We've always loved you. We've given you everything. Accept inclusion, accept consideration, accept honest communication about family plans. You were always so independent, Mom's voice rose. You never needed us like the others did. You made it clear family wasn't your priority. When did I make that clear? Give me one specific example. She blinked, thrown by the direct challenge. Well, you moved out right after college instead of staying home like Amanda did. I moved 20 minutes away. Amanda moved in with Kyle's parents for 2 years before getting their own place. You never ask for help with anything. Because when I did, you told me I needed to learn independence. Remember when my car broke down junior year and I called you? You said it was a good learning opportunity to handle it myself. That's called good parenting. Is it? Because when Amanda's car broke down, Dad drove an hour to fix it himself. I kept my voice level, factual. When I lost my job after college, you told me it was my own fault for choosing the wrong career path. When Amanda quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom, you threw her a celebration dinner. Those are completely different situations. They are. Because Amanda is treated like family and I'm treated like an acquaintance you're obligated to acknowledge at major holidays. Dad finally spoke up. Rebecca, that's not true. We love you both equally. Do you? I pulled out my phone, opened my photos. I made a timeline. Would you like to see it? Amanda leaned forward. What are you talking about? I turned the phone screen toward them. This is every family gathering in the past 5 years. Birthdays, holidays, Sunday dinners. Count how many I was invited to versus how many Amanda and Jason were invited to. The spreadsheet was color-coded. Green for events I attended. Yellow for events I was invited to but couldn't attend. Red for events I wasn't invited to at all. The screen was mostly red. That's ridiculous, Amanda scoffed. You're always invited to family stuff. Really? When's my birthday, Amanda? She blinked. What? My birthday. What day is it? March something? June 17th. My birthday is June 17th. You've never remembered it without a Facebook reminder. I swiped to another document. Want to see the text messages where I asked about family plans and Mom told me nothing was happening, only for me to see photos on Facebook later of family gatherings I wasn't told about? The room went very quiet. You're twisting things, Mom finally said, but her voice lacked conviction. I'm stating facts, documented facts. I put my phone away. Here's what's actually happening. You've built a narrative where I'm the distant, difficult daughter who doesn't value family. It lets you exclude me without feeling guilty about it. And everyone believes it because you're very convincing. That's absurd. Is it? Dad, did you know Rachel thought I'd moved to Boston? He nodded slowly. You mentioned that. Did you ever wonder why she thought that? Did you ever ask Mom why your family has these wrong ideas about where I live and what I'm doing? Dad looked at Mom, something shifting in his expression. Caroline, what did you tell people about Rebecca? Nothing. When people asked where she was, I explained she was busy with work, with her life, that she'd moved on from family stuff. You told them I moved to Boston. I said you were considering a job opportunity in Boston. That's not the same thing, except I never mentioned Boston to you, ever. You made that up. The crack in her composure was visible now. I was protecting you. People kept asking why you never came to family events. I was giving you an excuse. An excuse for exclusion you created in the first place. I stood up. I'm done with this. I'm going to Sedona. I'm going to meet family members who actually want to know me. And I'm going to stop pretending this relationship is something it's not. You can't just walk away from your family. Amanda stood too, her voice shaking. Watch me. Rebecca. Dad's voice was quiet. Don't do this. Don't throw away our family over a misunderstanding. This isn't a misunderstanding, Dad. This is a pattern of behavior that's been going on my entire life. I'm just finally seeing it clearly. I picked up my purse. Have a great time in Cancun. Enjoy your perfect family vacation without the difficult daughter ruining it. I walked toward the door, but Mom's voice stopped me. If you go to that reunion, if you embarrass me in front of the Sterling family, there will be consequences. I turned back. What consequences, Mom? You'll exclude me from more family events? You'll lie to more people about me? You'll forget more birthdays? I don't think you understand. Those aren't consequences. Those are just Tuesday for me. Your father and I have resources. We can make your life very difficult. The threat hung in the air. Dad looked shocked. Amanda looked uncomfortable. Are you threatening me? I asked calmly. I'm warning you. Family loyalty goes both ways. If you insist on being disloyal, don't expect us to support you when you need help. I haven't expected anything from you in years, Mom. That's why I'm financially independent, professionally successful, and completely self-sufficient. I learned early that counting on this family was a losing game. I walked out, my heart pounding but my steps steady. Behind me, I heard Dad say, Caroline, what the hell was that? And Mom starting to cry, but I didn't look back. In my car, my hands finally shook. I'd done it. I'd actually stood up to them, said the things I'd been thinking for years. There was no going back from this. My phone started ringing immediately. First Amanda, then Mom, then Amanda again. I declined all the calls and pulled out of the driveway. A text from Dad came through as I drove. I think we need to have a private conversation. Just you and me. Please. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to process, to understand what I'd just unleashed. When I got home, Marcus was waiting on my doorstep. Sarah's watching your social media. Your mom just posted a long rant about ungrateful children who abandon their families. Of course she did. But here's the thing. People are pushing back. Some of your mom's friends are commenting with support, but there are also a lot of comments from Sterling family members defending you. Linda apparently commented with receipts about all the times your mom declined Sterling family invitations on your behalf without telling you. I unlocked the door and we went inside. Marcus pulled up Mom's Facebook post on his phone. It breaks my heart when children forget everything their parents sacrificed for them. We gave Rebecca every advantage, every opportunity, and now she's trying to destroy our family because we took one vacation without her. Some people are never satisfied, never grateful. Prayers appreciated during this difficult time. The comments were a battlefield. Mom's church friends offering sympathy and prayers. But then, Linda. Caroline, you told me 4 times that Rebecca moved to Boston and was too busy for family events. She lives 20 minutes from you. Why would you lie about that? My cousin Rachel. I'm confused. Rebecca told me she's been living here the whole time and wasn't invited to family gatherings. Which story is true? Michael. Aunt Caroline, did you or did you not tell Uncle Dave's family that Rebecca didn't want to come to Grandpa's funeral? Amanda had jumped into the comments defending Mom, which only made things worse as more Sterling family members added their own experiences of being told I was unavailable when they'd tried to include me. This is spinning out of her control, Marcus observed. She wanted public sympathy, and instead she's getting publicly fact-checked. My phone rang. Dad again. This time I answered. Rebecca, please, can we meet? Just the 2 of us? Why? Because I need to understand what's really been happening. Your mother's version of events and yours don't match up, and I'm starting to see patterns I don't like. His voice sounded different, older, tired, maybe even a little bit broken. Tomorrow, I said. Coffee. The place on Maple Street. Just you and me, thank you. After we hung up, I sat with Marcus in silence for a while. What if this doesn't fix anything? I finally asked. What if I've just blown up my family for nothing? Then your family was already broken, Marcus said gently. You just stopped pretending it wasn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the confrontation, wondering if I'd been too harsh, too direct, but every time I started to second-guess myself, I remembered that itinerary. 7 names. Everyone but me. My phone buzzed at 2 a.m., a text from an unknown number. This is your cousin Jennifer from Florida. Linda gave me your number. I just want you to know that I tried to friend you on Facebook 6 years ago, and your mom sent me a message saying you'd left social media because you wanted privacy from the family. I respected that. I wish I'd questioned it. I'm sorry. Then another. This is Mark Sterling, Linda's son. Same thing happened to me. Your mom told me you didn't want contact with the family. I should have reached out directly. My bad. The messages kept coming. Cousin after cousin, all with similar stories of being told I wanted distance, that I was too busy, that I'd moved on from family connections. All lies told convincingly enough that no one questioned them. By 3 a.m., I had 17 messages from relatives I'd thought had forgotten about me. Turns out they'd been told I'd forgotten about them. The next morning, I met Dad at the coffee shop. He looked like he hadn't slept either. I've been doing some investigating, he said without preamble, calling my siblings, asking questions. Rebecca, I had no idea your mother had been lying to people about you. She calls it protecting me. It's not protecting. It's isolating. He ran his hand through his hair. I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know what it says about my marriage that my wife has been systematically cutting my daughter off from my family. What does it say about our relationship that you never noticed? He flinched but nodded. That's fair. I should have paid more attention. I should have questioned why you were never around, why my family never saw you. I just believed your mother when she said you were busy, that you preferred your independence. I do prefer independence, but that's not the same as wanting to be excluded. We sat in silence for a while, sipping our coffee. The Cancun trip, Dad finally said. It was wrong. The way your mother explained it, you'd told her you couldn't get that week off, that you had a big project at work. But you told me at Jason's graduation that you'd specifically requested that week off. I did. So she lied to me too. He looked older somehow, the realization aging him in real time. How long has this been going on? I don't know, Dad. Maybe forever. What do I do now? I met his eyes. That's not my decision to make. You have to decide what kind of marriage you want to have, and what kind of relationship you want with your children. But I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to Sedona. I'm meeting my family. And I'm building relationships with people who actually want to know me. What you do with that information is up to you. Your mother is insisting we still go to Cancun. She says canceling would be letting you win. This isn't about winning, Dad. This is about me refusing to be treated as less than I deserve. He nodded slowly. Linda invited me to Sedona. She made it very clear your mother wasn't welcome, but I'm invited. Are you going? I don't know. Your mother would see it as a betrayal. And missing Grandpa's funeral because Mom told me it was handled? What was that? Dad's face crumpled. You would have been there. In a heartbeat. I loved Grandpa, but I didn't know until it was too late. And by then, Mom had already told everyone I was too busy to come. Jesus, Rebecca, what have I been enabling? We talked for another hour. I showed him my timeline, my documentation, the messages from his family members. By the end, Dad was crying quietly into his napkin. "I failed you," he said. "As a father, I completely failed you. You can still fix it, but you have to choose. You can't keep enabling Mom's behavior and expect things to magically improve." 3 days later, my parents left for Cancun. Dad sent me one text. "I'm sorry, I need time to figure out what to do, but I love you." "That's real." I texted back, "I love you too." The morning they flew out, I received a package at my apartment. Inside was a photo album I'd never seen before. Pictures of me as a baby, a toddler, a young child. My father's handwriting on the back of each photo, noting dates and moments. There was a note. "I found these in storage. Your mother told me you didn't want them, that you wanted to move forward without constant reminders of childhood. I believed her. I shouldn't have. These were always meant to be yours. Dad." I sat on my floor and cried for the first time since this whole thing started. Not sad tears, not angry tears, just the release of finally being seen. The day before I left for Sedona, Amanda showed up at my apartment again. This time she looked different. Her designer clothes slightly rumpled, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail instead of her usual sleek styling. "Kyle's at a casino," she said without preamble when I opened the door. "He took our emergency fund, $6,000, just cleaned it out yesterday." I stepped aside to let her in. "Does Mom know?" "She'd kill me if she knew. Perfect Amanda with her perfect life, except it's all falling apart." She collapsed onto my couch. "I can't even go to Cancun. I told Mom I have the flu, but really I'm trying to figure out how to pay this month's mortgage before the bank notices." "Amanda, why are you telling me this?" She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Because you're the only person in this family who's ever been honest. Everyone else just performs, pretends, keeps up appearances. You were right about what you said, about me working hard to maintain the image of perfection." I sat down across from her. "How long has Kyle had a gambling problem?" 2 years, maybe longer. I kept thinking I could fix it, that if I just managed the money better, if I just kept him happy enough, he'd stop. She laughed bitterly. "Mom always said the key to a good marriage was managing your husband's weaknesses without letting anyone else see them. That's not a marriage. That's a cover-up." "I know. God, I know that now." She wiped her eyes. Cancun was supposed to fix things, a family vacation, time away from stress, a chance to reconnect. But Kyle didn't even want to go. He wanted to stay home and go to the casino. Is he going? He's on the flight. Mom and Dad don't know any of this. They think we're the perfect couple. She looked at me directly. "I've been so angry at you this past week. Furious that you were ruining Mom's narrative about our perfect family. But you were just telling the truth. And the truth is that none of us are perfect. We've just gotten really good at lying about it. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Get through this week, figure out the mortgage, probably file for divorce once Kyle comes back from Mexico. If he comes back." She stood up. "I didn't come here for advice. I wanted you to know that you were right. About all of it. About Mom manipulating family dynamics. About the facade. About me being complicit in treating you like you didn't matter." "Amanda." "No, let me finish. I was Mom's golden child because I played the game. I performed the role she wanted, and in exchange, I got her approval. But you know what that approval cost me? Everything. My self-respect, my ability to acknowledge problems, probably my marriage." She headed for the door. "I hope Sedona is amazing. I hope you reconnect with family who actually deserve you. And I'm sorry it took my life falling apart for me to see what you've been seeing all along." After she left, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, processing the conversation. Amanda's facade cracking felt less like victory and more like sadness. We'd all been trapped in different ways by the system Mom had created. That evening, Marcus and Sarah took me to dinner for a goodbye celebration before my Sedona trip. "Are you nervous?" Sarah asked. "Terrified," I admitted. "These are relatives I barely know. What if they don't like me? What if Mom was right and I don't fit in with them?" "Based on the messages you've been getting, they're excited to meet you," Marcus pointed out. "Real you, not the version they were told about." "What if the real me is disappointing?" "Then they don't deserve you either," Sarah said firmly. "But Rebecca, I've been thinking about what you said about being terrified that you won't fit in. That fear? That's your mother's voice in your head. She spent years convincing you that you were the problem. You're not. You never were. The next morning, I flew to Phoenix and drove north to Sedona. The landscape shifted from desert to red rock formations that looked like something from another planet. Linda had rented out an entire boutique resort in Oak Creek Canyon, rooms carved into the cliff sides with views that took my breath away. I checked in at 3 p.m. The clerk smiled warmly. "You must be Rebecca Sterling." Linda left a note asking us to call her when you arrived. Before I could respond, Linda herself appeared in the lobby, arms open. "Rebecca, finally! Let me look at you." She pulled me into a hug that smelled like sage and joy. "You look so much like your grandfather. Same eyes, same stubborn chin." "I barely remember him." "That's because your mother limited your contact with him. Said the trips were too hard on you, that you got car sick." Linda shook her head. "Your grandfather asked about you constantly. When he was dying, he asked why you never visited. I told him you were busy with work. I should have questioned it. It's not your fault." "No, but I'm his daughter. I should have fought harder to maintain the relationship." She linked her arm through mine. "Come on, everyone's gathering for dinner in an hour, but let's get you settled first." My room was stunning. A canyon view from a private balcony, furniture made from reclaimed wood, artwork by local Native American artists. Linda sat with me while I unpacked. "Your father called me yesterday," she said. "He's in Cancun but having a hard time enjoying it. He wanted to know if it was too late to come to Sedona instead." "What did you tell him?" "That he's always welcome. Your mother is not, but he is." She paused. "I also told him that he needs to make some hard choices about his marriage and his values, that he can't keep enabling Caroline's behavior and expect to have relationships with his family." "How did he take that?" "I think he already knew it. Sometimes people need permission to acknowledge what they're seeing." Linda stood up. "Get changed into something comfortable. Tonight is casual, just family hanging out by the fire pit. Tomorrow is the formal reunion dinner, but tonight is for reconnecting." The fire pit area was nestled between red rock formations, the evening sky turning purple and orange. About 40 people milled around, chatting and laughing. As I approached, conversations quieted, heads turned. Linda's voice rang out. "Everyone, this is Rebecca, William Sterling's granddaughter. Let's make her feel welcome." What happened next was overwhelming. People surged forward, introducing themselves, sharing memories of Grandpa, asking questions about my life. Rachel was there, and Michael and Jennifer from Florida, and Mark. But also aunts and uncles I vaguely remembered. Second cousins who'd heard stories about me, third cousins meeting me for the first time. "Your grandfather used to talk about you all the time," my Uncle Dave said. "He'd tell stories about how clever you were, how you asked questions nobody else thought to ask." I wish I'd known him better. "That wasn't your fault, kiddo. That was Caroline's doing." Dave squeezed my shoulder. "But you're here now. That's what matters." The evening passed in a blur of stories and laughter and connection. Someone brought out guitars. Someone else started a s'more station. I found myself sitting between Rachel and her sister Amy, learning about their lives, their kids, their jobs. "Why did Aunt Caroline work so hard to keep you away from us?" Amy asked at one point. "I think she was threatened by the relationships I might have independent of her," I said slowly. "If I was close to Dad's family, she couldn't control the narrative about who I was. That's messed up." "Yeah, but I'm here now." Around midnight, as the fire died down and people drifted off to their rooms, Linda sat with me looking at the stars. "Your dad called again," she said quietly. "He's leaving Cancun early. He'll be here tomorrow afternoon." How did Mom take that? According to Dave, who talked to him not well, a lot of accusations about choosing sides, about betraying her, about abandoning family. Linda smiled slightly. "Your father told her that actually, he was going to be with family. His family. The one she'd been trying to separate him from for years." "He said that?" "He did. Apparently, the whole Cancun trip has been tense. Amanda's husband disappeared to a casino in Cancun the first night and hasn't been back to the resort except to sleep. Jason's girlfriend broke up with him via text the second day, and your mother has been trying to maintain the appearance that everything is perfect, while it all falls apart around her. I almost feel bad for her." "Don't. She created this situation through years of manipulation and control. Now she's experiencing the natural consequences." Linda stood and stretched. Get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be big. The formal reunion dinner the next evening was held in the resort's grand dining room, all of us dressed up, a photographer capturing family groupings. I stood with aunts and uncles I barely knew, with cousins who felt like instant friends, with second and third cousins who shared Grandpa Sterling's eyes or his stubborn chin. At 5 p.m., my father walked into the dining room. He looked sunburned and exhausted, but his face transformed when he saw me surrounded by his family. "Rebecca," he said simply. I crossed the room and hugged him. "You came. I should have been here from the start." He looked around at the gathered Sterling family. "I should have fought harder to maintain these relationships." Linda approached. "Dave, welcome. There's a seat saved for you next to Rebecca." During dinner, Dad was quiet, listening to conversations, watching the easy way I interacted with his family. At one point, he leaned over to me. "You fit right in." I always would have, if I'd been given the chance. "I know, God, Rebecca, I know that now." After dinner, during the informal gathering, Dad pulled me aside. "Your mother is saying she's going to divorce me, that I've chosen you over her." "Have you?" "I've chosen honesty over pretense. If she sees that as choosing you over her, that says everything about the dynamic we've been living in." He looked tired. "I love your mother, but I can't keep enabling behavior that hurts my children. Amanda called me yesterday, told me about Kyle's gambling, about how she's been hiding it to maintain your mother's perfect family image. Jason admitted he's miserable trying to live up to expectations that keep shifting. And you." He trailed off. "Me? You're the one who got away, the one who refused to play the game, and your mother punished you for it." Dad's voice cracked. "I let her. I was so focused on keeping the peace that I sacrificed my relationship with my own daughter. What are you going to do?" "I honestly don't know, but I know I can't go back to how things were." He looked around at his family. Linda said something that really struck me. She said that Caroline didn't marry into the Sterling family. She married me and then spent 37 years trying to separate me from my family. And she was right. The next 3 days in Sedona were healing in ways I hadn't expected. I hiked with cousins, learned family history from aunts and uncles, laughed until my sides hurt at stories about Grandpa Sterling's stubborn streak that apparently I'd inherited. Dad stayed for all of it, reconnecting with siblings he'd barely seen in years, meeting nieces and nephews he'd never known, apologizing to people for his absence. On the last night, Linda organized a ceremony honoring Grandpa Sterling. Everyone shared memories, and when it was my turn, I talked about the few visits I remembered, how he'd taught me to skip stones across a creek, how he'd listened to me explain a science project with genuine interest. "I wish I'd known him better," I finished, "but I'm grateful for the time I did have. And I'm grateful to be here with all of you, finally building the relationships I should have had all along." The applause was warm, genuine. After the ceremony, Dad found me on my balcony. "Your mother filed for separation," he said. "She called Amanda to tell her while we were at dinner. Apparently, I've irreparably damaged our marriage by coming here." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. This needed to happen. I just wish it had happened years ago, before so much damage was done." He looked out at the red rocks. "I'm going to get a place of my own, start therapy, figure out who I am without your mother controlling every aspect of family dynamics." "That's brave. It's overdue." He turned to me. "Rebecca, I know I can't fix the past. I can't give you back the childhood you deserved, the family relationships you should have had. But I want to try to build something real going forward, if you're willing." "I'm willing," I said. "But it has to be honest. No more pretending things are fine when they're not. No more excusing behavior because it's easier than confronting it." "Agreed." He pulled me into a hug. "I love you. I should have said that more. I should have shown it more. But I do." "I love you too, Dad." The flight home felt different. I wasn't returning as the excluded daughter, the family scapegoat, the one who didn't fit in. I was returning as Rebecca Sterling, part of a larger family that actually wanted me, with a father who was finally seeing clearly. Marcus picked me up from the airport. "How was it?" "Life-changing. I have 17 new cousins in my phone, an invitation to Rachel's daughter's birthday party next month, and plans to visit Uncle Dave in Colorado at Christmas." "And your dad?" He left mom, or she left him. Either way, he's starting fresh. Wow, how do you feel about that? Relieved, actually. It needed to happen. I looked out the window as we drove through familiar streets. Is it weird that I feel guilty for feeling relieved? That's normal, but Rebecca, this wasn't your fault. None of it was. When I got home, there were 42 missed calls from my mother. I blocked her number. There were also texts from Amanda, asking if we could have coffee when she got back from Cancun. And there was one text from my mother's sister, Aunt Joyce, whom I barely knew. Your mother is telling everyone you destroyed the family. Just wanted you to know that some of us don't believe her. The way she's always talked about you never added up to the person I remember. Glad you're reconnecting with your dad's family. You deserve better. I texted back a simple thank you, then put my phone away and opened my laptop. I had work to catch up on, a life to build, and for the first time in forever, genuine hope that family could mean something real. The truth was out. The facade had crumbled. And while it was messy and painful and complicated, it was also honest. Finally, devastatingly, beautifully honest. 3 months after Sedona, I stood in my newly promoted office as senior marketing director, looking at the view of the city skyline. Jennifer had pushed my promotion through the week after I returned, citing my exceptional leadership and strategic thinking. The raise was substantial. The corner office was a nice perk. But mostly, I was proud of having earned it on my own merits, without anyone's influence or manipulation. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Thanksgiving at Linda's in Arizona. 60-plus Sterling family members confirmed. You're bringing that police officer boyfriend, right? Everyone wants to meet him. I smiled. Tyler and I had gotten serious over the past few months. He understood family dysfunction in a way that made me feel seen. We were taking it slow, building something real. Another text, this one from Dad. Finalize the divorce paperwork today. I'm moving into that condo we looked at. Want to help me pick out furniture this weekend? Dad had gotten his own apartment, started therapy twice a week, and was slowly rebuilding his life. He'd apologized to his siblings, to his extended family, to me repeatedly. But more importantly, he'd shown up. To Sunday dinners with Linda's family, to my work presentation, to a random Tuesday when I called just to talk. We were building something new, and it felt solid in a way our relationship never had before. Amanda texted next. Kyle's in rehab. I filed for divorce. The kids and I moved in with Dad temporarily. Mom is furious I'm taking sides. Thanks for recommending that therapist, by the way. She's helping me understand a lot. My relationship with Amanda was complicated now. We were learning to be sisters instead of competitors for parental approval. It was awkward sometimes, full of apologies and boundary setting, but it was honest. Jason had reached out too, apologizing for not standing up for me during the Cancun incident. He'd started to recognize the family patterns himself, the way Mom manipulated situations to maintain control. He was in college now, deliberately choosing a school 5 hours away to get some distance. Mom, on the other hand, had doubled down on her victim narrative. Her Facebook was a constant stream of posts about ungrateful children, broken families, and the pain of being abandoned by the people you'd sacrificed everything for. Her church friends rallied around her. Some extended family members believed her story. But increasingly, people were seeing through it, especially after Linda started a Sterling family Facebook group and shared photos from the Sedona reunion, showing me surrounded by happy, loving family. The contrast was stark. Mom's narrative of me as the distant, difficult daughter versus actual evidence of me laughing with aunts and uncles, hiking with cousins, being embraced by a family that genuinely wanted me around. Mom had sent one final email 3 weeks after I returned from Sedona. Rebecca, I don't know what you hope to accomplish with this destruction of our family. Your father has abandoned me, Amanda is turning the kids against me, and I'm being shunned by people who used to consider me family. I hope you're proud of yourself. You've gotten what you wanted, the complete dissolution of everything I worked so hard to build. But you'll learn eventually that families built on betrayal don't last. When your father's family gets tired of your drama, when they see the real you, you'll understand what you've lost. But by then, it will be too late to repair what you've broken. I'd read it once, saved it to my documentation folder, and never responded. There was nothing to say to someone so committed to avoiding accountability. The real consequence for Mom wasn't my absence or Dad's divorce. It was the slow realization that her carefully constructed world had been built on lies, and once those lies were exposed, the entire structure collapsed. She'd lost her marriage, her position as matriarch, her control over family narratives, and her access to the Sterling family gatherings she'd attended for decades. She'd moved into a small apartment near Amanda's old neighborhood, took a part-time job at a church office, and maintained a small circle of friends who believed her version of events. From what Dad told me, she'd convinced herself that she was the wronged party, the victim of ungrateful children and a weak husband. "She'll never see it," Dad had said during one of our coffee meetings. "Your mother will never acknowledge her role in any of this. That's not how her mind works. She's rewritten history in her head where she's the hero who sacrificed everything and was betrayed by her family. Does that bother you?" It used to. Now I just feel sad for her. She chose control over connection, and now she has neither. The Sterling family Thanksgiving in Arizona was everything a family gathering should be. 63 people crowded into Linda's rented event space, multiple generations laughing and eating and sharing stories. Tyler fit in immediately, his easy manner and genuine interest in people making him a quick favorite, especially with the older relatives who peppered him with questions about his work as a police officer. During dinner, Linda stood to make a toast. "To family," she said, raising her glass. "Not the family we're born into, necessarily, but the family we choose to build through love and honesty and presence. To William Sterling, who taught us that family means showing up, especially when it's hard. And to all the new connections we've made this year, proving it's never too late to come home." Everyone raised their glasses, and I felt Tyler's hand find mine under the table. After dinner, I found myself on the patio with Dad and Linda, watching the sunset paint the Arizona sky in impossible colors. "Your mother tried to call me yesterday," Linda said. "First time since I uninvited her to the summer reunion. She wanted me to know that she forgives me for being manipulated by you." Dad laughed bitterly. Classic Caroline, she can't apologize, so she offers forgiveness for crimes others didn't commit. "What did you say?" I asked Linda. "I told her that I didn't need or want her forgiveness, that she systematically isolated my brother from his family for decades, lied about my niece to justify that isolation, and created dysfunction that's taken all of us months to untangle. Then I told her that she's not welcome at any future Sterling family events, and that if she continues to harass family members, we'll consider legal action." How did she take that? "She threatened to sue me for slander. I told her to go ahead, that I have documentation of every lie she told and would happily provide it to a court." Linda smiled. She hung up. "Good," Dad said firmly. "She needs to understand that actions have consequences. She spent years making Rebecca invisible, and now she's experiencing what it's like to be on the outside." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sky darken and stars begin to appear. "Do you ever regret it?" Dad asked me quietly. Speaking up, refusing to just go along with the Cancun situation? "Never," I said immediately. "That week changed my life. Yes, it was painful. Yes, relationships ended. But I also found something real. This family, Tyler. A better relationship with you and Amanda. My career advancement because I stopped being afraid to advocate for myself. I found myself. Your mother would say you destroyed the family. I exposed the truth. The family was already broken. We were just pretending it wasn't." I looked at both of them. "And honestly, what we have now is better. Smaller, maybe. But real." Later that night, Tyler and I walked around Linda's property, the desert air cool and clear. "Your family is great," he said. "I mean, this family, the Sterling side." "They are. I wish I'd known them sooner." "But you know them now. That's what matters." He stopped walking and turned to face me. "Rebecca, I know we've only been dating 6 months, and I know you've been through hell with family stuff, but I want you to know that I see you, the real you, not some narrative someone else created, not a role you're supposed to play, just you, exactly as you are, and I think you're extraordinary." I kissed him, overwhelmed by the simple truth of being known and accepted. "I see you too," I whispered, "and I'm really glad you're here." On the flight home, I scrolled through my phone, looking at photos from the weekend. Me with Rachel and her kids. Dad laughing with his brother. Tyler talking animatedly with Uncle Dave. Amanda's shy smile in a group photo, still healing but present. There was also a missed call from an unknown number and a voicemail. Against my better judgment, I listened to it. Mom's voice, tight and controlled. Rebecca, I'm calling to inform you that I've decided to write a memoir about my experience as a mother. I think it's important that people understand the truth about ungrateful children and broken families. I wanted to give you the opportunity to be interviewed for it, to tell your side, but I doubt you'll take it. You've made your choices clear. I hope you can live with them. I deleted the voicemail and blocked the number. Let her write her memoir. Let her tell her version. The truth was documented, witnesses were clear, and I had nothing to hide. More importantly, I had nothing to prove. Not to her, not to anyone who chose to believe her narrative instead of seeing the evidence right in front of them. 2 weeks later, I received a package at my office. Inside was a letter from Grandpa Sterling, written before he died but never sent. Linda had found it in his papers. My dearest Rebecca, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and your grandmother Linda has finally found this letter. I've been trying to figure out how to reach you for years now. Every time I ask your parents when you're coming to visit, I get vague answers about you being busy, living far away, focusing on your career. But I know my granddaughter, and I don't believe those excuses. I think someone is keeping us apart. I'm writing this so you know, even if I never got to tell you in person, that I think about you every day, that I'm proud of the woman you're becoming, that you have your grandmother's fierce independence and your great-grandfather's stubborn refusal to accept less than you deserve. Never let anyone make you small, Rebecca. Never let anyone convince you that standing up for yourself is the same as being difficult. The world needs more difficult women who refuse to be diminished. I love you always, even across distance and time and whatever obstacles have been placed between us. Your Grandpa Sterling. I cried at my desk, grateful my office had a door I could close. These words, written years ago by a man who'd seen through Mom's manipulation even then, felt like validation from beyond the grave. That evening, I framed the letter and hung it in my living room, a reminder that being difficult, being stubborn, being unwilling to accept less than I deserved, those weren't character flaws. They were strengths. 3 months before the first anniversary of finding that Cancun itinerary, I stood at Linda's daughter's wedding in Colorado. The Sterling family had gathered again, another celebration, another affirmation of connection. Dad was there with a date, a kind woman named Patricia who worked at the library. He looked lighter than I'd seen him in years, genuinely happy. Amanda was there with her kids, 6 months into her separation from Kyle, building a new life centered on honesty rather than pretense. Jason was there with a new girlfriend who seemed lovely and normal, someone who didn't require him to be anyone but himself. And I was there with Tyler, who'd been accepted into the family with warmth and enthusiasm. Mom had not been invited. She'd apparently heard about the wedding through extended family and had tried to crash it, showing up at the venue only to be turned away by security Linda had wisely hired for exactly this possibility. According to Linda, Mom had caused a scene in the parking lot, yelling about being excluded from family events, about the conspiracy against her, about her ungrateful children, but she'd eventually left when threatened with police involvement. She'll never change, Linda had said matter-of-factly. Some people are too committed to their own narratives to ever see reality. I know, I'd replied, but that's not my problem anymore. At the wedding reception, Linda pulled me aside. Your grandfather would be so proud of you, not just for standing up for yourself, but for how you've handled all of this with grace and maturity. I don't feel very graceful or mature. Sometimes I still want to scream or cry or demand to know why my own mother worked so hard to push me away. That's being human. Grace isn't about never feeling those things. It's about feeling them and choosing to move forward anyway. Linda squeezed my hand. You've built something beautiful from the wreckage, Rebecca. A real family, a strong career, a healthy relationship. That's not spite or revenge. That's resilience. As I danced with Tyler that night, surrounded by family who knew my name and my story and loved me anyway, I realized Linda was right. This wasn't about revenge or proving something to my mother. This was about building a life that reflected my values: honesty, connection, authenticity. Mom had excluded me, trying to make me invisible. Instead, she'd freed me to find people who actually saw me. She'd thought leaving me behind would diminish me. Instead, it had strengthened me. She'd wanted me to feel small and unimportant. Instead, I discovered my own worth independent of her approval. The greatest consequence for her wasn't my absence from her life. It was the realization that her control had always been an illusion, that the family she'd tried so hard to curate had never been real. She'd spent decades maintaining a facade, and when it crumbled, she was left with nothing but the hollow space where genuine connection should have been. I'd spent 1 year rebuilding, healing, connecting with family I didn't know I had, strengthening relationships that mattered, and learning to value myself not for what I could provide or how well I performed, but simply for who I was. And you know what? That year of rebuilding, of honest connection, of choosing authenticity over acceptance, had been worth infinitely more than a week in Cancun could ever have been. Mom had tried to leave me behind. Instead, she'd freed me to fly.